Hi, I'm Peterson Toscano, and this is Bubble and Squeak, a podcast with uncanny sounds, funny interludes, and stories, most weird, many true. Okay, here's Season 4, Episode 7. Today's show comes in 3 parts. Part 1, my father's very best joke. Part 2, Shell Game, a true story. And Part 3, a sound slice from my past. The other night, I nearly told one of my father's best jokes. I was at an open mic in Sunbury, Pennsylvania, and was about to go on to do my comedy set. Then, at the last minute, I had to go in a completely different direction. I suddenly couldn't tell my dad's joke. My sense of humor comes from my parents. My mom, Anita Toscano, had a crisp, dry wit. And my dad, Pete Toscano, told jokes that were risque, reckless, and downright bawdy. They went down well in the bar my dad tended for over 30 years. But in other public spaces, they need to be altered for the audience, or better yet, left unsaid. So here's the joke. It happened actually while I was driving with my dad on a long-distance trip to see my sister shortly after my mom passed away. As often happened when I talked to my dad, he began to update me on various customers who used to go to the bar that he tended for all those years, Pete's Pub. So he starts and he says, "You know who I saw the other day? I saw that guy Steve. Remember that guy Steve?" "I don't think so." "Yeah, you know Steve. He's the guy who used to roll his own cigarettes at the bar." "No, I don't have a memory of that." "Yeah, you know Steve. Steve, he had a wooden leg, and he would come in the bar and he would roll his cigarettes." I definitely don't know who this person is. "Yeah, you know Steve. You know, the thing is, the guy, he smells like shit. But you gotta know him. You know, this guy smells like shit. He rolls his own cigarette. He's got a wooden leg." I absolutely don't have any memory of this person. "Yeah, you know Steve. Yeah. He smells like shit, and he's on a wooden leg, and he rolls his cigarettes. It's a terrible thing, but some of the guys, they call him Steve the Shit." It's like, I definitely have not heard that before. "Yeah, and sometimes they just call him shit on a stick." And that's when I knew I was trapped in a joke. The joke was on me, because I don't ever remember meeting this Steve character, and it was just a way to set it up. I'm very aware of cultural differences because I'm married to a South African. And I'll never forget when my dad passed away, how strange the whole Italian-American wake and funeral was. I mean, my dad was sick with cancer for several months. And my partner, Glenn, said, "Wow, you must be sad but relieved that the hard work is done. Your father has passed away." I was like, "What are you talking about?" "No, the hard work just begins. We're Italian-American. We're going to be hosting well over 100 people. We have to get food together and work on accommodations. And no, this is going to be the busiest week of our lives, at least for the year." He was shocked, seeing a body laid out. He never saw that before except in American movies. Seeing it through somebody else's eyes, you realize, it is kind of weird, like particularly at the wake, which had many hundreds of people come. My dad, he would go to every funeral. And as a result, it seemed like everyone wanted to pay him back. But they also adored him and my mom. So we had to stand there, the whole family, including Glenn, who knew almost none of these people. People would go by one, shake our hands and say, "Sorry for your loss. Sorry for your loss. Sorry for your loss." And Glenn was like, "What is this?" I was like, "Just keep shaking hands." And sometimes they would tell you a story or whatever. So we're standing there. It must be hour 3 when all of a sudden, gunk, 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 gunk. This guy, gunk, gunk, in a suit, gunk, gunk, comes limping over and he says, "Hey, my name is Steve. I'm an old friend of your father's. I used to go to the bar." I was like, holy crap, it's Steve the shit. He's real. He's a real person. Oh my gosh. This is the best punchline ever. So I was very prepared to tell this joke. It always goes down well, because it's got that surprise twist. I'm getting ready, and he says to me, "You're up next. 1 minute to go." And all of a sudden, ka-dunk, ka-dunk, ka-dunk. This guy wearing shorts comes in, and he has one prosthetic leg. And I thought, I'm not going to do that joke tonight. Some memories, they just sit around for years doing nothing. They maybe come out every now and then in a story over dinner. But then one day they start making demands. Here is Shell Game. Three identical black Mercedes limousines closely followed each other, carrying and concealing Chile's former tyrant, Augusto Pinochet Ugarte. Retired from dictating, Pinochet spent the mid-1990s cruising around Santiago in one of the three cars, a security measure in case the convoy was attacked by one of his many enemies. I never doubted Pinochet was in one of the limos, even though he could have ordered the three cars to crisscross the city while he holed up in his mansion. For a week in 1994, from the 23rd floor of my luxury hotel room, I watched the three cars round the corner in stately procession, little Chilean flags fluttering on the hood, middle fingers to the country that pushed Pinochet out of power but could not punish him for state terrorism, corruption, and crimes against humanity. Highly polished, they were roving black mirrors, transforming the city into thousands of El Greco portraits with elongated figures and muted tones. "He's inside one of them," the young porter told me in Spanish, enveloping us in a cloud of Calvin Klein Obsession cologne, our shoulders touching as we looked down from my bedroom window. The limos were iridescent beetles scuttling past. At age 29, I was an American, temporarily living in England while preparing for a Christian missionary trip to South Central Africa with my wife, Laura, shortly after I completed this business trip in South America. The billionaire who funded our mission had his heart set on acquiring 8 shortwave radio transmitters that the U.S. government gifted Pinochet in the 1980s in order to blast anti-communist propaganda into the communist world. From that same transmission site, my born-again boss would harness the transmitter's powers to broadcast pro-Christian messages into the former Soviet bloc. As the only person on staff who spoke Spanish, he dispatched me to negotiate the purchase of the transmitters, antennas, buildings, and broadcast licenses. My grasp of the language was mediocre, but my gift of mimicry enabled me to sound fluent. Instead of learning the technical and business vocabulary I needed to facilitate negotiations, I beefed up my Spanish with sophisticated sounding words like sutil, which means subtle, and penúltimo, penultimate. Much like I butched myself up with suits, ties, and that wide-legged, ankle-on-knee sitting position that passed for manly in America. For the past 12 years, I had been pursuing heterosexuality and masculinity, believing God would eventually eradicate my sexual attraction to men. For 5 of those years, I sat under the ministry of Brother Dave Wilkerson at a New York City Pentecostal church, housed in the former Broadway theater that once staged My Fair Lady and Jesus Christ Superstar. Brother Dave regularly preached that God punished unrepentant sinners with eternal torture in hell, but longed to save drug dealers, murderous tyrants, and even homosexuals. By tyrants, he meant Adolf Hitler or Idi Amin. Brother Dave likely approved of Pinochet's anti-communist stance and alliance with Reagan. When he mentioned homosexuals, I had no doubt he meant me. During 3 church services each week, I raised my hands in surrender and belted praise songs until my voice grew hoarse. Then I headed down to the front and rededicated my life to Jesus. Every morning, standing beside my bed, I stood, imagining strapping on the whole armor of God as I asked God to grant me the ruthlessness to capture, torture, and destroy the rebel within me, without becoming so weighed down that I would take my life. On the 3rd day in Chile, I left my hotel room wearing the boxy American suit Laura bought for me. I met the sellers in the lobby, Senor Armati, and his associate/driver/bodyguard, both Italians in tailored Italian suits. When Armati learned of my Italian surname, he kissed and embraced me like family. They drove me 2 hours up to the transmission site hidden in the Andes. 8 identical rectangular transmitters stood alone inside a warehouse, 4 on each side, Cold War coffins. Outside, a curtain antenna towered over us with 50 smaller antennas suspended in front of a reflective screen. After I secured the deal, my boss, Ian, and his assistant, Nicole, with whom I later learned he was having an affair, arrived from the UK, and we celebrated the sale over steaks. I did not tell anyone I was a vegan. So along with all the other men in suits, I stabbed, sliced, and chewed bloody chunks of meat. During dessert, my boss asked me to translate some jokes he liked to tell. These were not funny in English and beyond my skills in Spanish, so I narrated as best I could. At the appropriate time, I instructed the lawyers, the businessmen, and their assistants to laugh. "12 years later, in 2006, after dozens of failed legal cases against him, Pinochet died of natural causes in his Santiago mansion. He never faced justice or apologized for the brutal torture and thousands of murders. Maybe he thought repentance was for sissies. By 2006, I had come out gay and flaunted it. As they say in Spain, I was con plumas, with feathers, casting off the suffocating straitjacket and hetero-masculine facade that propped me up in a hostile world. I was, at last, naked and in my right mind. But why did it take me so long? Why did I stubbornly cling to a belief system that oppressed me and demanded I oppress myself? After nearly 20 years of fighting against anything gay in me, why was it so easy to walk away from that world in one day in late 1998? Tyrants may seem invincible, immovable, and untouchable, but a day comes when they are voted out of office, get deposed, or drop dead. In rare cases, they simply come to their senses. Let me set the scene for you. I spend a lot of time on my phone, and I know I'm not the only one. There are many things on my phone that are important and many more that are not. But probably the most precious thing on my phone, which I also have saved to the cloud, is a set of voicemails that my dad left through the years. And I have a range of these voicemails going back to when he was very healthy, after my mom passed away and was getting out there and starting a new life, to some towards the end of his life. And I can hear the raspiness of his voice from the effects of lung cancer. And I definitely can hear his love.
Happy birthday, Dad. I got a hold of Tony Serafino, and I don't know if he got a hold of you because he wants to see you at the show, whatever show you're going to do. And I wish you have a nice, happy birthday. I'll speak to you over the weekend. Love you, son. Bye. Hi, Peter. It's your dad. Manuel called, and I was sleeping under the tree, and Gregory was down the stairs playing the drums, and I guess he never heard him call. So either give me the number, leave the number, or you got to call and find out what's going on, because I want to make sure if he comes, I want to be here. Leave me the number, or you call and let me know what's going on. I got to go to a Marine Corps meeting, so I'll see you if you... I should be home around 9:30, 10 o'clock. Okay. Love you, son. Take care. Bye. Hi, Peter. It's your dad. We went to the singles club. I made Ethel happy. And now she went to see the cabaret. So I'm watching TV, and she's going to come and say good night. And I talked to Dina, and Linda called. She's going to be here about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know if they're staying overnight, but if they want to, they're welcome to do so. If they do, I have to wash the linens again the next day if Brian comes. Okay. I love you, son, and thanks for helping me out. I'll keep in touch. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Bubble and Squeak. The story Shell Game, about my time in Santiago, Chile, was first published in Unlikely Stories. It's a great journal. Definitely check it out. You can read this journal for free by visiting their website, unlikelystories.com. This Bubble and Squeak podcast episode was written and produced by me, Peterson Toscano. I mostly make this show for myself. Oh, and for my Uncle Frank, the last of my dad's 5 siblings still alive. You can hear Bubble and Squeak wherever you get podcasts. I also share samples on over 35 radio stations across the USA whenever I guest host the Spirit in Action program. If you want to connect, you will find me on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, and just walking around Sunbury, Pennsylvania, for a limited time only while supplies last. Soon, you'll find me walking around Vatafalbuefen, Mgwenya, and Mpumalanga, South Africa. Oh, and thanks for listening.